on the coldest Christmas Eve the small town had seen in years, Daniel Harper stood at his front window, watching snowflakes spiral under the glow of the street lamp. His 7-year-old son, Lucas, was in the living room, humming off-key as he carefully placed a handmade star on the top of their slightly lopsided tree. For 3 years now, it had been just the two of them ever since Daniel's wife, Emily, passed away. He'd learned to patch up scrapped knees, braid hair for school plays, and hold his son through nightmares, but the one thing he hadn't learned was how to fill the emptiness that Christmas always brought. Outside, the world seemed wrapped in warm, the families with arms full of gifts, couples bundled together, laughter spilling from front porches. Daniel swallowed the knot in his throat, telling himself that what they had was enough. He was about to draw the curtains shut when he saw Kira standing alone at the bus stop across the street, her army duffel at her feet, and her uniform blending into the night. She looked barely older than him, but her eyes, a shadowed, distant, held the weight of 1,000 silent midnights. Lucas noticed too, his little brow furrowing. "Dad, why is that lady all alone? Doesn't she have a home to go to?" Daniel's first instinct was to look away. It wasn't his problem. He had enough to handle making ends meet, being both a mom and dad, and pretending he was doing just fine when the ache of missing Emily roared loudest during holidays. But as he watched the soldier shift her weight, shoulders hunched against the wind, something inside him moved, an echo of the man Emily had always believed him to be. Without overthinking it, Daniel grabbed his coat and Lucas's tiny mittened hand. They crossed the snowy street together. Up close, the young woman looked even more fragile beneath her rigid posture. She startled when Daniel spoke. "Hi there," he said, his voice gentle enough not to scare her away. "I know this might sound strange, but would you like to come have Christmas dinner with us? We've got plenty, and my son makes the world's worst but most enthusiastic cookies." The soldier blinked, once, twice, like she couldn't process the offer. Her name, they learned, was Sarah Miller. She'd just gotten back from her final deployment that morning as she had nowhere to go tonight. Her parents had stopped talking to her after she enlisted. Her friends had scattered or moved on. She'd been standing at that bus stop for hours, telling herself she didn't mind spending Christmas Eve in a diner if she could find one open. But the truth was, she was scared to sit in a booth alone, watching other families unwrap a holiday she'd forgotten how to believe in. Back in their tiny living room, Lucas dragged Sarah to the tree and insisted she put the last ornament on, a paper angel with crooked wings he'd made in first grade. They sat around the battered old table, the ham a little dry, the mashed potatoes lumpy, but Sarah swore she hadn't tasted anything better in years. Between bites, she and Daniel shared awkward small talk that slowly turned into stories of who they were before life cracked them open. Sarah talking about her dream to be a teacher before the war, Daniel telling her about the day he met Emily at a college Christmas party, how they'd slow danced under twinkling lights that looked like falling stars. Lucas, oblivious to the sadness, peppered Sarah with questions. Did she ever drive a tank? Did she have a dog in the army? Did she ever see Santa in the desert? She laughed. It sounds so brittle it made Daniel's chest tighten. But after a while, it softened, and when Lucas handed her one of his misshapen cookies, she ate it like it was the sweetest thing in the world. Later, after Lucas fell asleep curled against Sarah's side on the couch, Daniel quietly asked her how long she'd been planning to stay in town. Sarah stared at the twinkling lights for a long moment. "I don't know," she said. "I thought maybe I'd just keep moving. It's easier that way." Daniel hesitated. He didn't know where the words came from, maybe from the part of him that missed the noise of a full house, or the part that still believed in the simple power of opening your door when someone knocks. "You could stay here tonight," he offered. "We've got the pull-out couch." "Lucas already thinks you're a superhero." She shook her head at first, eyes brimming, afraid to accept what she'd stopped daring to hope for. But then she looked at the little boy asleep with the candy cane still clenched in his tiny fist, and she whispered, "I'd like that, just for tonight." But they just for tonight turned into Christmas morning, where Sarah woke up to Lucas bouncing on her makeshift bed, demanding she help him find the stocking Santa had hidden for her too. It turned into pancakes so burnt they had to scrap them into the trash and try again. all three of them laughing so hard the walls seemed to remember what joy felt like. And it turned into something more. Over mugs of coffee, Daniel and Sarah talked quietly about how maybe loneliness doesn't get to win, and not if you have the courage to let a stranger into your home, or if you have the grace to accept the kindness you think you don't deserve. When Sarah hugged Daniel goodbye, there was a promise in that embrace that some wounds heal best when you share the scars with someone who knows what it means to be broken but brave enough to stay. By the time the sun set on Christmas Day, Sarah hadn't left. She stayed one more night, then another. She helped Lucas build a snow fort in the yard, and she helped Daniel remember that sometimes love doesn't knock twice, it shows up on a cold street corner when you least expect it, wrapped in the uniform of someone who just needed to hear one simple, life-changing question: "Want to have dinner with us?" And in that little house, under the soft hush of winter snow, three lonely hearts found the kind of family that doesn't come gift-wrapped or planned up. It comes in moments of quiet courage, when someone dares to open their door and say, "You belong here. You're not alone, not tonight, not ever again."